bringing you the latest news from Monterey Athletics. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. This is the High School Fan Zone on a Monday night. I'm Randy Rosetta. We're also on Fox News Now. If you want to look at one handsome guy and one old dude trying to fight through sickness, he's the handsome guy. It's Josh Davis from Monterey. I'm still, and you've got, I ask you this all the time, 2 kids.
Yes, sir.
And a daughter, yet not one side. And you got dark hair. Usually that leads to gray hair pretty quickly. But, man, you're fighting it off.
So far, between my own 2 and then the 10 to 15 I adopt every year this time of year. Yeah, I'm surprised more haven't shown up, but my wife likes to find them in my beard here and there and let me know about them. Yeah. So, yeah, they're on the way.
Want to start to get really old. Your wife starts finding where they're not supposed to be growing up here on your head. Your little dude cracked me up the other day. He reminded me of Macaulay Culkin and Uncle Buck. Just one question after another, and you were trying to back away. Just but.
Yep.
And I remember those days.
Once he gets his mindset, it's hard to get him off of something that he likes to take priority a lot of times.
That's one of the best scenes of a movie of all time. Macaulay Culkin's just grilling Uncle Buck and won't let him up for air. Let's talk about basketball instead of Uncle Buck. You guys got district started last week, beat Caprock. The text I got, I'm not going to say exactly what Josh texted me. A little rocky at the beginning, but you found a way, took care of business, got off on the right foot against Caprock.
Yeah, and you're just trying to change, starting with the championship game at Gene Messer and having a really slow start. It ended up being the doom for us there that looking at the other 3 quarters, we won those 3 in total, but the first quarter was just so much of kind of an egg laying from us and from an energy standpoint that it didn't really matter and trying to get that changed. And wasn't quite as long with Caprock, just first couple of possessions, but once we kind of found where that switch was to flip, especially effort and defensively, things switched for us, and we were able to continue that for longer stretches, which is where the score ended up being where it was.
You guys have 2 games this week. You go Crosstown to take on Lubbock High, which Jose and his guys were on last week. I think they're getting better. I think his style, his system is kind of starting to take root. Just talk to some Estacado girls who a little bit different with them is Jay January tells them shoot if you're open. And I think maybe Lubbock High is getting that as well. Mm-hmm. I know you know Jose a little bit.
Yes, sir.
So you've coached against his teams when he was right next to Tony Wagner. And then you follow that up with a home game against Tascosa. This is it's a pretty key week for you guys. You don't play the shortened week next week.
Thank goodness.
But then Caprock, we'll talk about Caprock when you come back. We'll see if Levelland's still as hot as they are right now when you get to play them. But going into Western Arena tomorrow night, that's one other thing about Lubbock High is I did go to one of their early games. Their crowds are showing up. Mm-hmm. You've been around long enough. Your dad was a coach briefly there. That is a loyal and vocal fan base when they want to be.
Very, very much so, and very, very impressive the way they're consistently there as a student body for the football games, for basketball, baseball, anything you can go sit in the stands for, they've got people there for. And, we tell our guys a lot. Crazy things happen when you go over there. Somebody that you're not expecting gets hot and you got to pay attention, and everybody's a threat. And, Jose's doing a great job with them. They're really coming along. They played a bunch of Dallas schools a couple weeks ago in a tournament and really excelled, beat somebody that we'd lost to. So definitely not somebody that we can overlook, especially in our long district schedule. These early ones, yes, they count double, but where you're still kind of figuring out who you are, they almost feel like they count a little more. So if we can get both of these this week and go into the break 3-0, it's going to feel like maybe a little more than 3 just for where we are at a season standpoint.
Yeah, that would feel, I would imagine that would make for a happy Christmas in the Davis house.
Very much so.
You could handle that. You weren't around, I don't mean to jab the needle in. I remember talking to Will Smith a little bit, mm-hmm. Josh Washington about this. You weren't on either of the football teams that lost to the Westerners back in the...
I was not.
You were probably
I was not. That was before me and right after me. That was not me.
There you go. I throw this little nugget out. There's one living sports writer that has covered Monterey losing to Lubbock High back-to-back years.
Yeah, Morton was not happy about that either.
No, and someday I'll ask James about that. I don't know if the shelf life's probably
you may want to wait a few more years.
I will do that. So But we're in basketball season. The Plainsmen are 11-3, 1-0 in district. Already that district is starting to look like it's going to be fun and a bottleneck at the top. We'll come back and talk more about Monterey and what's ahead this weekend at the Caprock after this break on the High School Fan Zone.
Diving headfirst into Monterey athletics. You're listening to the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Back in. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone. Josh sort of alluded to it. I wasn't going to mention it. It's the first time he's been on since the Dean Messer Classic. Played really well to get to the championship game on Saturday and ran into a buzzsaw Liberty team that you may have gotten them at their early season peak.
Yeah, they've, it's one of those games where you get a little frustrated maybe afterwards that watching them play Amarillo and then even Burke Burnett the other night, they didn't, neither of those, they quite shot it the same way they did against us. That it's just one of those nights. And although I had the feeling when we turn it over right at half court to end the quarter, they pick it up from half court, take a step, and it's nothing but net. You just kind of got that feeling that maybe it's not going to be our night, which happens every once in a while. So, but yeah, they're definitely playing good and deserving of where they're standing with the TABC rankings right now too, I think.
It's kind of a night where you wish you would have gone to church maybe a few more times leading into the season.
Yeah, what else have I done wrong here?
There you go. I mentioned the standings before we went to break. Amarillo High, 12-3, 1-0. Monterey, 11-3, 1-0. Tascosa, 10-3, 1-0. And then Lubbock Cooper, I saw them play the other night. I think their record's a little deceiving. They're 6-7, but they got district started with a win. That's the four teams I think that have been in the playoffs the last couple of years. I know Coronado snuck in there one year. PD's always going to be a team that is right there waiting. The other four teams have some work to do. You kind of this is a good mixed bag for you. Take on a Lubbock High team that would love to beat the Plainsmen, obviously, but also if they're going to be a team that makes any noise. You mentioned how big games are early in the season for your guys. Same thing for Lubbock High. Getting to know your guys the last couple of years, I don't imagine that you're going to have to worry much about a sense of urgency, even in a December game.
No, and that was something we tried to get across at practice today. Starting the right way, continuing, not having lulls or lapses in focus and concentration. Because with any team in this district, it's enough to cost you. We tell them a lot that nobody. Amarillo High went undefeated, which happens every couple of years, but nobody ever goes winless. Right. So we always beat up on each other. And the night that you think you can take one off or it's not going to take your best effort, you're going to lose. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of that. And the records in our district the last 5 or 6 years, I think, really bear that out.
I saw this term the other day. Somebody talking about the Big 12 that there's cannibalization in your district because, like you said, somebody inevitably either stubs their toe or jumps up and sticks their toe where it's not supposed to be. That probably didn't sound right there. I want to check this. Yep, Levelland is 13-2. I talked about Levelland because, as I mentioned, after this week we don't come back until January 5th, and between now and then is the Caprock Classic. Monterey is in the boys' Western Bank bracket. Their first game is just saw it here somewhere. Noon on Monday. It's a little bit weird. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. When I was typing it in, I typed in Thursday initially. I went, wait a minute, it's not Thursday because of the way the calendar breaks. Noon on Monday at home against Levelland. Right now, Levelland's on a 13-game winning streak. Kendall Duretz he took over for Parker Hicks when Parker moved into town. They've had a couple of rough seasons, but I think he's got some guys back. Have you looked at them at all, or have you seen them at any tournaments?
We've started getting some stuff on them. We'll start a little more once these two district ones are over, especially with the bye that we have for the 23rd. And start having a chance to look forward to them. But anytime somebody's got a winning streak like that, they're worthy of all your attention, no matter their classification or what you think about them from years prior. So that's going to be a big week for us between the 3 days of the Caprock, hoping to continue to put some good games together, and then our reward that Friday is to go up north and play Amarillo High in district. So it's going to be a big week for us to see where we stand and hopefully be pushing towards the goals that we've been talking about for a little while.
There may not be Tony Wagner's been around for a while. He may have coached a few more games in the Caprock, but between head coach, assistant coach, and player, there's probably not a whole lot of folks that have played or been involved in the Caprock as much as you. Why is it a special event?
To me, it's special because it's one of the few times where we get to schedule our own games, so you get to kind of pick and choose. But then some matchups that maybe don't traditionally happen kind of jump out. We try to play Escotto every year. Didn't work out this year with me and him, Wag, both changing some tournaments and things. But having a chance to play them, or any of maybe the private schools in the area, things like that, or even the big Dallas schools that have come the last couple of years. We played Dallas, Hillcrest, and White last year. They had a big old 7-foot guy from White, and so you get to have a good mix of you get to stay at home. At least for us, we get to sleep in our own bed and get that kind of comfort, but you get to play people that are outside your area a little bit. And every once in a while it ends up with one of those fun ones where you get to play the crosstown game that everybody wants to see anyways. So
yeah, I think that's probably the girls' side, especially the last few years, where it's wound up being Friendship and Monterey. That's been the case. The two out of kind of the big names from out of town in the boys' field this year are Fort Worth Dunbar and Fort Worth Southwest, both who have some tradition. And I know Paul Page from Friendship always talks about that. He wants to see if he can't figure out a way for them to play one of those, like you said, because it gives you a chance to play them semi on your home turf, but also that there's going to be some intensity because they bring it with them.
Mm-hmm. And that some of the biggest ones the last couple of years have been Dallas Carter and somebody, Escotto or Friendship the last couple of years with the way that's gone. And anytime you get to have a game like that in your own city and help bring out some attention to the basketball and the caliber of players we've got around here, the more it's just going to help us grow and our programs, and kids wanting to come play for you maybe one day because they're going to remember that game that they came and watched when they were in 5th grade and what that gym was. Similar to what I was. I used to be the gym rat that was unlocking the doors for everybody at the Caprock in 3rd, 4th grade, and all the way through to this now. So it's a fun full circle thing. Did
you get to ride the trikes out to when they
did not? Nope.
I could see the little Josh Davis doing that. So.
I was probably acting like my son. They probably said, "Hey, we can't let you do that."
You were probably 6'3" already at that point. So, fondest memory as a player from the Caprock?
Ooh. It's a little bittersweet, but playing the championship game my junior year, it used to be at Coronado was where it was, and we actually played Coronado at Coronado in the championship. We lost by 4, and my best friend that was our point guard was actually in the hospital. He hit his head in the semifinals. So we lost by 4, but it was standing room only. The fire marshal was there, counting people, kicking them out. And so even though it didn't quite go our way, that's one I'm always going to hold on to.
Vic Self and Randy Dean is coaching?
Absolutely.
There you go. That's going to wrap us up in the Plainsman Fan Zone. I will see Josh probably Friday and then again in the Caprock, so I don't need to tell him Merry Christmas just yet. We'll be back after this break in the Panther Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.